Okay, we need to write a program today, correct? Trying to think something outside the box here. I thought of Tyron playing basketball, so let's write a basketball program. Okay. Trying to think of something that we could do with logic and things like that. So I thought we would try to write something like shooting percentages. Does that make sense? Yes, no, kind of. So think about in basketball. We're gonna have players. You want to do name? That's fine. Okay. And then let's say we could even set it up like a statistics program, right? Where we stack stuff. So instead of their name, we want to be able to enter information real quick. Okay. So let's enter their number. That's faster than typing in a name, right? Do what? Like jersey number. And what we want to do is we want to be able to say the type of a shot that they took, right? Because on shots, we either have what? Or free throws, really, right? So we're going to have an option here of a free throw, 2-point or 3-point shot, right? And then we also need to know whether it was made or not, correct? Which is going to be what? Yes or no? And so we could just like enter those three things real quick each time someone takes a shot. And then when it's all said and done, could we not find out, the person's number, right? How many 2-point shots were attempted, correct? I'm going to call PPA. How many 2-point shots were made? 3 points, and so forth, right? So we end up with what? 1, 2, 3 points attempted, 3 points made. We also have what? Free throw attempted and free throw made. So we end up with really 6 accumulators, right? But we got to keep track of them each pass through the loop. Yes, we will have to, because when we put in the number, we're going to hit one of these and we're going to have to determine which one it is to add to the appropriate accumulator, correct? And same thing over here. If it's made or not, which accumulator do we add to? Does that make sense? Now, being a coach, I'd like to know, free throw line, I know they're taking the shot at the free throw line. But if I were truly doing this more, I'd want to know where on the court. And right now we don't have that, but we'd have to put like numbers for certain places. Not too worried about that. If it was me coaching and writing it for myself, I'd go a little more in depth. But right now we're just working with accumulators, if statements, things like that. Correct? Yes, no? Okay. So we're going to have all those accumulators, right? And with those accumulators, can I not figure out a percentage, shooting percentage for 2-point shots? Attempted divided by made, right? Same thing here, attempted divided by made. So I'll be able to tell what kind of free throw percentage they shoot, what kind of 2-point shots they shoot, and what kind of 3-point percentage was. That'll give me a pretty good idea of how good of a shooter they are, right? Okay, what do we need to do? Guess I better delete the hello world, huh? Oh, no, it looks good for me. You guys are getting damn picky. But it's something outside the box, right? You never would have thought about writing a program over something like this, but it's very doable with the skill set we've got right now, correct? What do I need to do? Okay. What? Number will work, right? Shot. Oh, I said shit. And then I need what? There, how's that? All right, you're typing next. You're getting that critical on me. Okay. Here's my question. Do we want them double? Do we want them integer? I'm asking you. The only reason I would say, I mean, the data is actually going to be integer until I do what? Calculate my shooting percentages, correct? And I believe I'd like to know if it's 50.1 as opposed to 50.9%, right? Yes? Okay, so well, let's go. We can go ahead and make them a double. We're all right there, correct? Okay. Or we could just modify one when we do the calculation. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's make them what? Okay, so here's how we're going to have to name them. From shot and from made, I can even use my if statement. There's no need to turn either one of these into a double, is there? The result of the comparisons when I'm going to be dealing with the data for calculations, correct? So you want to just use these abbreviations for my accumulators? Okay, but here we go. I can't start a variable with what? Number. So I'm going to have to say PTA2, right? And this is an accumulator, so what do I need to do? Zero it out. Okay. PTM2. Fashionably late, right? Next one, I'm going to have PTA3, and it's an accumulator. We're writing a program for shooting percentages in basketball. Okay, PTM3, correct? FTA, right? FTM. And then I'm going to need percentages, right? Percentage 2, percentage 3, percentage free throw. That's a whole boatload of numbers there, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 9 variables just for doubles. Okay, got that. Need to do what? While YN is what? Dot equals. Why don't I use equal? It's a better comparison on the string. So right here, YN dot equals, and I'm going to say what? Quote, end quote. Do I put a semicolon at the end of this? How many people have done that? I've done it before, so it's not a death sentence, but what does it do? Doesn't do anything. It just sits there and runs that line over and over, and it'll never allow you to make YN something different than N, right? So what we call that is an endless loop. All right, so now we come through here and we're going to say what? If I want to clean that output because it's going to print loop back up, right? What do I need to do? Clear. Okay, then I need to ask the first question, right? What's the player number? Semicolon. I'm going to turn around and capture it as read line, but where am I going to store it at? We called it num, right? Okay. Console.WriteLine. Uh-oh, I went crazy there. Tempted, is that right? Okay, now we got to be careful here. If I was writing, because if we're going to do it off an if statement, we got to make sure we type these three, one of these three options each time, right? If I was writing this graphically or through a database or something, knowing I have to do a comparison, I would use a drop-down combo box or a list or something they would have to select. So it would limit them to those three exact choices, right? Kind of like my yes and no, I probably would come through here and say something like this. We said it's going to be what? 2-point shot, right? 3-point shot, or what? Free throw. So in this case, I would write what I wanted my selection to be. Does that make sense? You were saying what?
So what if they don't enter exactly what?
Well, we might need to have to take care of that. Right? We have a number of options here. So let's assume they can type a lot better than I can. They won't screw up, right? For right now. So I'm going to come through here now and say what? Shot equals. Okay. And then my last one here is going to be what? And then right here, I'm going to say what? Sound good so far? Okay. So what do I do next? Why don't we deal with shot? I'm not going to need the averages or any of these things down here till when? We're all said and done, right? And we're going to assume we're only doing this for a certain person, okay? I mean, if I were doing this totally later on for the whole team, I wouldn't just have one or two. I'd have how many? I'd have all that data and all those accumulators for what? Every person. And then I'd filter it based upon the person, which I would do this with a database if I was truly writing it, because I can store everything and then I can sort and group and all that, but we're not there yet, okay? So we're assuming we're just going to have, I'm tracking Tyron's shots this game.
So for that, would you just say, you want to do it, and they say no, they can put in a different start a whole other shot.
In this case right here, it's really only going to work for what? One player. Or it'll group everybody together, not individually. You see what I'm saying?
So how would we do this? Put a different number, drop it to the top, have to make a whole nother.
We'd have to set up a whole lot more accumulators. What we would really do is a thing called arrays. is where we would set up a giant like box in memory where we would have this for Tyron, but then right below it, we'd have another row for another player and another row for another player. So we would have, depending on what number they were, that's which one I would add it to. It's a little above us right now. We'll get there. But right now, this is just going to work for one player because we only have one set of accumulators. Okay. Never knew there's that much stuff went into some of the programs you use, right? Like in soccer, do you guys have programs that stat shots and attempted shots and all? And that's broken down by players, right? You don't realize how much goes into some of these programs. Huh? Yours are on paper. See, that's different. Mine's all on computer, so it's real easy to enter it. We log it all and save it. Then I push a button and it prints everybody their own. So what I need to do though right here is I'm not worried about the number because the number is going to be the same each time, right? But what I do need to know is I need to come through here and check and see if the shot is equal to what? And we called it what? PTA 2, right? Okay, so no, we just did 2-pointer, didn't we? Yeah. So was it a 2-pointer, correct? So, oh, I should have an error because I need another what? Another parenthesis. Okay, so here we go. If the shot was a 2-pointer, what do I do? Well, but no matter what, I got to add it to the attempted shot, right? So we call that PTA 2, right? I'm adding 1 to it, correct? No, I'm not parsing the shot because the shot's just using the if statement to tell me what formula, right? Yes? So if we hit this right here, I put plus equal, what am I doing? I'm adding 1 to a 2-point attempt, right? Now, whether I add to the 2-point attempt made or not is determined on what? So on the true part on this, I'm going to say if made dot equals, right? Correct? So if it was made, then I'm going to turn around and say PTM2 plus equal 1, correct? If it's false, then they missed it, correct? So after I fall through here and I say else for that one, I don't have to put an else because nothing happens. If it's missed, nothing happens, right? So I don't have to put an else and then nothing. I can just do the true part. Else, if I fall through here, that means my shot was what? Not a 2-pointer. So I need to turn around and do what? And it was what? 3, whoops, PT in lowercase, right? So if it's a 3-pointer, go ahead.
I was just wondering, we don't have to do an else statement. So like, could you just do another if statement afterwards and still run that?
You have to put an else because right now, if I just put an if there, it would never execute because it's either looking for an else or logically it's going to run everybody through this next one. Okay. So right here, I'm going to come back and here I'm going to do exactly like I did above. But if it's a 3-pointer, I need to do what? Point attempted 3 plus equal 1, correct? And after I fall through with that, what do I need to do? Because this is only if this condition's true. Only if it's 3-pointer do we need to check to see if it was made, correct? And if it's made, what do I do? And if it was missed, what do I add to PTM3? Nothing. So I fall through that one and I have one more else here, correct? So if I want to do this correctly, now I need to check and see what? Free throw? Correct? So here we go. If shot dot equals, and right here, what am I going to put? Did I do uppercase or lowercase? Uppercase. If it's equal to free throw, then boom. First thing I'm going to do is say FTA, correct? Plus equal 1. And then turn around with what? That's free throw attempted. Now we need what? Made dot equals. Right? If it's a Y, then I'm going to do what? FTM plus equal 1, correct? So let's look at this. Here's my if, there's my true, correct? And the weird thing is, here's the true. Here's my else. So if it's not a 2-pointer, I bounce down to check and see what? 3-pointer. If it is a 3-pointer, we check for that. Else, if that one's not, we're checking for what? Free throw. So there's the else and all of that, correct? Here's my question. What if it's neither one of those 3? We will. By looping back up, we'll redo it, right? Because if it falls through all of those, did it ever add to an accumulator? No.
How would it not be?
Because somebody mistyped it. Because right now we're only looking for those certain things. Yeah. So could I, if it falls through to this, which would be right here, correct? Else, yes? If that's the case, I just want to print them a message. You can't type, idiot. No. Correct? There's an error on a shot type. But if I have more than one thing happening here, whoops, what do I have to do? Because this is still part of my if statement, right? So this all has to be inside quotations, curly braces, right? So here we go. I'm going to give them an error message, and then I'm going to do this console dot, whoop. What was the difference between read line and read key? Read line, it's waiting on me to type, but it's everything that's just sitting there till I do what? Hit the enter key. And if I just use it to pause, I'm not saving anything. Read key, it doesn't matter what key I push, it's only going to capture one, but I'm not saving it, correct? So that should fall through. That's just pausing it to let me read my messages. So this one right here is with my what? My while loop. So when they say, yes, I'm done, this is where I got to print my totals out, right? Because each pass through, the only time it's going to give any type of a printout is what? My error message. We only left one thing in here that we still got to do. Because right now it's only working for what? One time. Correct? You want to quit? And I got to do what? Correct? So now if they want to keep going, it keeps adding to those accumulators till right here. So I'm going to do this. Console.clear, right? Get rid of all the junk on the screen, correct? I'm going to print them out on their own lines. Console.writeLine. Okay, so right here, I'm going to say 2-point shots. Attempted, right? Were 0. Made was right there, correct? And I'm going to put a comma and I'm going to say what? PTA2, correct? PTM2. Now, that's not giving me my what? Percentage. So we could come back here now and say what? Something like that. But before we do anything, we're going to have to calculate it, correct? And right now we haven't, but we could say what? PT, what do we call it? PER2, right? We haven't defined it yet. That's why we're getting an error. It's in red because it's going to say what? Undefined or undeclared, right? So in other words, before we get to that line, right here will work, right? Can I say PER2 is equal to what? PTA2 divided by PTM2. So if we're going to do that, we might as well do them all, right? So PER3 is going to be equal to what? PTA3 divided by PTM3. And then we have what? F is equal to what? FTA divided by. Good enough? So we got this line right here. Man, we're getting good, aren't we? Got quite a bit done though, haven't we? Okay, so I know my typing abilities. Correct? So all we have to do is make a few minor changes, correct? 3. 3. 3. 3. This one right here is what? F. Whoa. FTM, correct? This one right here is FTA. And then right here, we're gonna say free throw shots, right? Pardon? We should line up that way, right? What do you think? The only thing I'm gonna do is copy this one and paste it where? There, so we can see the totals. Oh, will it work? No, because we have that up here, each pass through the loop. The only time we're showing totals is when we're done. When we're done. Yeah, that's just a pause. Okay, so here we go. Drum roll. Will it work? Man, we're going to have to go sell this to Coach Jackson. Oh, so far it hadn't crashed. That's always a good sign. What's our number? You're our only basketball player. That's Jordan's number, man. All right. Tyron, you attempted a 2-point shot, right? Did you make it? Well, of course. You want to quit? No. We're still dealing with Tyron, right? He had another, let's say he had a free throw, correct? Except that's going to give us an error message, correct? But let's keep trying it. Was it made? No. It's telling us we entered it wrong, right? So do you want to quit? No, come back. Well, we're back to Jordan, correct? And we said he had a free throw this time. And did he make it? Well, yes. You want to quit? No. Let's try a little bit of all of them, okay? Yeah, Tyron, you're not going to be my 3-point shooter today, all right? Did he make it? Yeah, I'm sorry. What else? Let's go back with another 2-point shot, correct? Did you make it? Yes. You want to quit? Yes. Well, you were 2 for 2 on 3-pointer or 2-pointers, right? You were 1 for 1 on free throws, but guess what? We got infinity right there because it's really an error message. It should be what? 0%. Which we'll be able to work with that, clean them up. The only difference we need to do is actually where we have the percentage, we need to do what? How do we actually turn something into percentages? Divide it by 100? Multiply them by 100. So I'm going to do this right here. Correct? And now instead of 1, I should get what? 100. So if you shot 33%, you'd get 0.33, but if we multiply it by 100, it'll say 33%, right? Can we add it? Right here when I'm done. A lot easier to do that, isn't it? Okay, let's see if these changes work. Because if it's not inside the curly bracing, it's just like a heading, right? So here we go. Tyron, it was a 2-pointer. You made it. You quit. Yeah, it's a short game, right? Something out of the norm though, right? We still doing what we worked on Monday. Still working with nested if statements. We actually threw an extra thing in here that we handled a little bit of error correction, right? What do you think? Do what? Quite a bit? Yeah, we're learning. They'll get a lot, they'll get a lot more quite a bit. But what are we working on every day? Not only are we working on learning how to code correctly, what are we doing with our logic? We're logically, systematically trying to go through and solve problems now, right? Remember that real big term they use at all the universities? It's an algorithm. We've created an algorithm, a process of logic to solve our problem, right? Worst case scenario is to run a program, the program execute correctly code-wise, but it doesn't give you the right answers. Those are the hardest ones to find, and those are called logic errors. If you just have a typo, didn't put a semicolon, didn't close a curly brace, those are what we call syntax errors, and that's what the compiler flags, right? Those are the easy ones to fix most of the time. Logic errors, that's a different ballgame. I already know what program we're doing next week. It's a good one. It's something similar in nature to this with a different spin, but you got to be careful logically to get the right answers. Okay. All right. I'm done. Look at that. I'm letting you 10 minutes early. I'm a nice guy. So the ones that need, I'm going to shut this down real quick. Okay. Stop sharing. Close this.